Hello everyone and welcome back. I'm Simon bringing you more Magic the Gathering lore. As we continue the story of Oath of the Gatewatch, we take a look at our heroes' first responses to the emerging of this new threat, the recently unveiled Titan Kozilek. How will they react in the face of two Eldrazi Titans rather than one? Today, let's discover the fate of Kiora. Kiora, the merfolk planeswalker native to Zendikar, has always been a little overambitious. When the Eldrazi first began their assault on Zendikar so many years ago, Kiora left her world in search of the largest sea monsters the multiverse had to offer. Using her powers over the sea, she would place them under her command and transport them to Zendikar to face Ulamog. First, let's just talk about this transportation ability for a second. Kiora is the only planeswalker, at least in recent history, who displays this type of ability. To my knowledge, no other planeswalker is able to summon living things from other planes, or even from the same plane but over a vast distance. Just a little side note when moving forward. In Kiora's ambition, she ran afoul of a powerful god, the god of the seas on the plane of Theros, a being known as Thassa. Thassa saw Kiora's stealing of sea creatures and winning over the admiration of her own merfolk species as an insult, and decided to teach the outsider a lesson in humility. In their fight, God vs Planeswalker, Kiora was easily bested, yet Thassa was unaware of the existence of Planeswalkers, so she wasn't expecting Kiora to just vanish from her world, snatching her godly weapon, a Bident, in the process. With this Bident, Kiora's strength over the seas and her monsters only grew, and so did her ego. Eventually, she brought her armada back to Zendikar, believing she could single-handedly defeat Ulamog. As a gesture of good faith, she met up with her own people, the merfolk of Zendikar, reuniting with her lost sister. While with the merfolk, she recanted old tales of their former gods, the idolized versions of the three Eldrazi Titans. Her ancient people had mistaken them for gods and warped them into the figures known as Kozi, Emria, and Ula. Kozi was known as the god of tricks and deceit, a god which Kiora herself followed before their forms were revealed. Kiora left her sister and her people, taking with her those willing to fight, which were few. But Kiora wasn't affected by this. She had all the power she needed in her Bident and in her sea monsters. Kiora and her party made it to Seagate just in time to witness Gideon and his forces sieging the city. As they were all standing against Ulamog, Kiora decided to lend a few of her Kraken to the assault, helping Gideon in reclaiming Seagate for the Zendikari. After the victory, Kiora met with Gideon and others from the battle. There was Jace, Nissa, a vampire named Drana, and some other commanding officers, including another human and a core. It was clear Ulamog the Titan himself was headed towards Seagate. This meeting was to determine what was to be done. Kiora was very outspoken. She wanted to ride off and face her opponent in glorious battle. Others at the meeting suggested retreating and surrender the city they just bled to take. Despite all these conflicting opinions, Gideon's was the only call that mattered. He was the leading commander-general, the savior of Zendikar. His word would be law here. He declared that they would never run, but in fact, face Ulamog, much to Kiora's delight. But it wouldn't go exactly as she wanted. Jace began going on and on about a trap and blah blah, stuff Kiora had no real interest in. As the plan unfolded, Kiora was less interested and decided to leave to mount her own separate attack on the Titan, much to the displeasure of the others. Out of the loop, Kiora and her followers met up and began preparing for the battle. The first thing Kiora did was search the oceans for an ancient beast, the largest creature on Zendikar, the legendary octopus Lorthos the Tidemaker. Yes, that same exact one from the original Zendikar block. His power and strength rivaled anything Kiora had met in her travels, but it wasn't until she unlocked the potential of the Bident that she had the ability to sense the beast. Calling into the dark depths, Kiora pleaded with Lorthos to defend his world from the Eldrazi, a creature who dared to challenge his size and strength. Sounding more like provoking than commanding, Kiora got the octopus to stand with her, and by using her transportation magic, summoned the giant octopus to the battlefield. As she rode Lorthos with her followers, they found that Ulamog had already made contact with Seagate, and that the others had in fact successfully trapped the Titan. But at this point, Ob-Nixilis had already started his ritual, causing the prison to become unstable. This was it, the time of Kiora's attack. This would be her finest moment, using a godly weapon to kill a god. As she was about to fight Ula, the name of her former god, the ground erupted and split the sea and shore alike. What rose through the crust was unmistakable: Kozi, the ancient god of tricks, or more accurately, Kozilek, another Eldrazi titan. As she stood there, stunned, Kiora could only process how ironic it was. She had depicted herself as a trickster, following in Kozi's lessons, only for Kozi to play the greatest trick on her. Kozilek warped the reality surrounding him and his minions, twisting the world and corrupting all in its wake. As the madness descended upon her followers, one of Kiora's fellow tricksters attacked her, forcing her to kill him with the Bident. Enraged, she commanded Lorthos to bring Kozilek down. It was apparent from the start that the octopus was no match for the Titan. The sharp blades of Kozilek's jet black exterior cut through its arms like a knife through butter. When Kozi tired of the fight, it brought the full strength of its blades down through the center of Lorthos, cutting the ancient beast in two. The Titan didn't even give Kiora, who was riding on its back, a second look. Godly weapon or not, the merfolk wasn't even worth the Titan's attention. Lorthos' body sank just below the surface, taking Kiora with him. As she fell to the crushing waves, Kiora realized how much death she had caused. She killed her followers, all the beasts she had brought from other worlds, and one of the oldest creatures on Zendikar. All this death, all her fault. The darkness then took her. And that, my friends, is the conclusion of Kiora's story, but is she really gone for good? Obviously it doesn't look good, but it doesn't say specifically that she dies either, and honestly I don't think she does. If I've learned anything from Game of Thrones, it's that a character isn't dead until you actually see, or in this case, read, that they're in fact dead. Also, Wizards of the Coast has this really limited cast of non-human planeswalkers, so I don't think they'd kill off one of their few so easily. But those are just my thoughts. I want to know what you think in the comments below. Do you think Kiora's dead? If not, how will she come back to defend Zendikar? Let me know in the comments. In any case, that's gonna do it for this video, guys. If you enjoyed it, consider giving it a like and sharing it with your friends. It goes a long way in supporting future content. As always, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time.